This is just a quick overview of what we're going to go over in class tomorrow. Now, in the past we've been talking about ionic bonds. Whenever you have an ionic bond, you have a bond between a metal and a nonmetal. Which means you have a cation, or positive, and an anion, which is negative. Okay? Now this is what's going to happen tomorrow in class. Tomorrow in class, you are going to have, we're going to talk about, and you're going to have notes over, what we like to call covalent bonds. Covalent bonds are between nonmetals and nonmetals. Okay, so we have nonmetals and nonmetals. And here's another key component of covalent bonds. Covalent bonds also share electrons. With ionic bonds, with our cations, our anions, they were stealing. So they had a good guy, you had a bad guy, you had a positive, you had a negative. With covalent bonds, they share. You have two different types. If they are shared equally, if they're all kinds of happy and there's not more electrons being shared on one side, but if it's shared equally, then that gives you a nonpolar covalent bond. It has no charge. The other type is if things aren't shared equally, then you have something totally different. If you have electrons not shared equally, then what you have is you have a polar covalent bond. And these guys have a charge. So, quick refresher. Ionic bonds we talked about in Chapter 8. You took a test over them. They are between a metal and a nonmetal. They are stealing electrons. They are giving up electrons. You have cations and anions. Covalent bonds are nonmetals with nonmetals. These guys can either be shared equally with nonpolar covalent bonds or shared unequally with polar covalent bonds. That's it for tonight, and I will see you tomorrow.